First, thank you for welcoming us here, and thank you for the opportunity for the interview and to show the people in Germany where the donations they're done, where the donation goes to. So we got a few questions from our people in Germany, but first of all, I would like to ask you if it's okay for you if you will visit you every year. It will not be in person every year, but maybe someone else that will also do then next year a documentation about the villages, if it's okay for you.
No, I think it's very good. It's a good idea because it's difficult to keep people informed only by words or a few photos. It's nice to have something on the ground.
That's the idea behind it, and maybe next year someone else would come over and do the documentation, and so we can support you for future projects also.
Good.
So it's been already 2 years. It's amazing.
Time flies.
Yeah, time flies. It's
Lots happened since then.
it's crazy, and I still remember when we first met here 2 years ago, and I collected the donations here in Indonesia and gave you the money. It was a nice time when I was traveling.
Yeah, it was nice to meet you.
Yeah, and now we're gonna support you a little bit longer. And as I said, we got a few questions from the people in Germany. The first question was actually, when was the foundation founded? So some people know already when it was founded because they visited your webpage, but I just want to ask you that when the first idea came up to found the foundation.
Well, it goes back a long time ago to me. It comes back from me, from my own childhood in poverty in the UK, and being the first to escape out of that, say I don't want this, I can change, and become a successful civil engineer. And being very young, running difficult projects in developing countries. And the reason I'm here now is because in 1973 I was building a very difficult road project in the northeast of Nigeria, 85 miles south of the capital of Maiduguri. And I was commuting, but also I was buying materials, and I'm noticing outside the village there's like a big prison, looked like to me, being built at the laterite stone. So very high walls, circular, and with kind of almost no doorways and no windows. And I was confused. What is that? It's near to where we're going to make a quarry later for the stone. And I went to the local government guy and I said, "What is that you're building?" And he looked at me with contempt. He said, "Well, it's the poorest village in Nigeria, up the mountains there, because we're right by the Cameroon border on the mountains." He said, "It was the poorest village in Nigeria, we're going to bring them down there to civilize them." I said, "Civilize them? From the mountain to a prison?" And eventually I said, "Well, it's all this, where's the village?" You wouldn't tell me. I found out where it was. And I went up there, and the people, it was a not so big, fairly flat land, maybe 35 or 40 homes, all built with local stone, with thatch roofs, little gardens, vegetables, there's goats running around. And my key question to the community through a translator was, what about children education? Zero. What about healthcare? Zero. Where do you get water? Well, about 5 hours walk with our big Nigerian horses. These big vans every 5 days. So I went back to the regional district government guy. I said, "These people just need some help. Education, healthcare, water." He said, "We're going to civilize them." I said, "How? When? The campus finished." He said, "Next week, the police will go on Friday to tell the people, the army will come and get them with overdrive trucks on Saturday." Well, that Saturday came, another week went by, a month went by, nobody was living there. So I went back and I said, "There's no one there, what happened?" He said, "David, police went Friday, got barricaded the village when the army went there, fired poison arrows, killed many of the army people." I said, "Well, they just need help." They did. And that was when I decided, when I found the country of my choice, I want to dedicate my life to find the poorest village in that country, prioritize health, nutrition, education of children. Well, I chose Indonesia in 1989, but I lived in Jakarta for a bit of a break. I moved to Bali because of traffic in 1993. That was when I decided, okay, I made a promise. And that's when I started searching for the poorest village in Indonesia. And after 4 years, going many places, researching a lot, meeting a lot of people, it turned out the poorest village, as I thought it might be, was in the east of Bali, of the mountains. But it was unknown. And it took me a long time to actually find it. And the people living in the 19 scattered communities, well, I had a plan if I met the village. And my criteria were based on the one in Nigeria. They had no roads, no access to education, no access to healthcare, no access to water. Well, other villages I met in my quest had one of those 4. This village, when I finally, and it was not on any map in the world at that time, and it was up the mountains, but I was lucky to have met somebody who made, a lady, a Balinese lady, made a list for the Bali International Women's Association of Poorest Villages in Bali, and I got this in March '98. 8 of them I knew. I looked at them for the last 4 years. I went searching for the 9th, and nobody had heard of it except one young man, and told me, you don't want to go there. I said, why? He said, because no one comes out of there or goes in there. I said, thank you very much. And I had to find some tracks 5 kilometers up the mountain, and hence I met the village. I told them if they wanted my help, they have to I'll make 3 promises, they must make 3 promises. My first promise was, no promises, I'm not God. My second promise was, no handouts, money, rice, or anything free. And my third promise was, if I found a way to start helping, and if there was any corruption, collusion, or nepotism with any project, I would stop immediately. The people in return had to commit to 100% motivation, this first promise, 100% participation, and to be interviewed and be honest, because there was no data anywhere in the world about them. Now, all of the 19 sub-villages, there were 19 sub-villages inside this village, and each one had to sign to those 3. Well, of course, everybody was illiterate. There was no education there, right? They'd never seen a white man before. But I established trust in that first time. People say, how come the people want to be? I said, they asked me to be there. I didn't ask them. I don't tell them what to do. And so once we had that, it was then people had to agree to be interviewed and be honest. Having then the questionnaire designed at 53 questions, I only had 4 young men. They trekked thousands of kilometers to find houses and to find the communities, and interviewed a total of 1,056 people. From analyzing all the data, it was quite clear that the 6 communities were the most remote up the mountain slopes. Some very high up Mount Agung, and you couldn't even take a motorcycle. It was about 4 hours walk. But you couldn't even get, if you want to get there without, on an ordinary, you couldn't take a car. Yeah. So if I didn't have a trail bike, I would have taken 2 days to walk there. Okay? The ones up Mount Abang slopes were quite similar. And the whole village, there was only 1 village head. So it wasn't 19 villages. And the whole village and the village head told me, David, focus on those 6. So that was their decision. The people then, when asked if they could choose one support from us, remembering my promises, what would they ask for? And they asked for education for their children, because there wasn't any government education, so their children can lead them to a better life. And because all the parents were totally illiterate, well, they could not, it was not benefit to learn from the school curriculum. They didn't learn about health, hygiene, sanitation, and nutrition. So I created a curriculum with Coleman. The ABC was learning about those things and teaching their parents. And so that was back, we got the funding for the first education program started in August 1999. And finally, the 6th one was Dharmaji, started in 2007 in June. So we have 6. Okay,
Okay, that's almost 20 years ago. Yeah.
Yes.
I saw it. I remember last year you had your anniversary from the charity, the 20 years.
Yes.
Yes. So yeah, pretty nice. Pretty nice story. The next question is, how big is the foundation? How many employees you have? How many people help to support those villages?
Right. The total of staff we have now is a total of 54 people.
54.
Yeah.
Okay,
Which
so-
is the education team, the health team, the water and sanitation team, you can say bamboo and infrastructure.
Oh, okay.
So the social enterprise we launched just 2 years ago to create business opportunities
Yeah.
for our local people, hopefully make a profit,
Yeah.
and hopefully they can set their own bamboo businesses up.
Okay. Really nice. That's much people. What are the current projects you're doing in the village, except for healthcare, education? Are there special projects that are going on? Ever heard about the bamboo project where you're building bicycles with bamboo? This is one of the special projects.
Yeah.
Are there other projects?
Well, there are. In fact, the health program, health is a broad word, okay? Health outreach. So we deal, the most important thing we're dealing with now, there's always been serious malnutrition. In the beginning, you can say 85 to 90% population are totally malnourished because their only source of food is what they could grow in their land. And all they could grow in their land is pure volcanic ash, right? There's no rivers, there's no irrigation streams. So everything they grow must be able to grow in sand, volcanic sand, and it must be what can grow only in the short rainy season. So the typical rainy season is from about December, say mid-December, until mid-April, right? It's only 4 months,
Yeah.
all right? So the main crops, and you'll find this anywhere in the southern hemisphere on mountainous areas of volcanic ash, is cassava and corn. When I was in Africa, it was yams, okay? They're almost the same kind of root crop, right? That grows without any real nutrition. It takes nutrition out of the soil that's there. But the problem with cassava, it is only a carbohydrate. There's no nutrition in it. And so this is why the people had no access to leave their village. They had no knowledge of how to grow vegetables. They were no access to eat fish. So at a high rate of the iodine deficiency, a high goiter rate. And so because these communities, and they're scattered primarily in very steep mountain areas, right? Their ancestors, they typically have lived there for 300 to 400 years, maybe more. So they survived with this kind of a diet. So now, as we are trying to eliminate malnutrition, of course, they're still living in their family compounds with their probably 3 generations. Now the older generations, now the recent advent having electricity there for the last 2 years or so, yeah, and more access since we opened the roads. So the economy's gone up. So things I never had before, and I know when I was a child, having the first TV was something new, you know, so you wanted to watch it. And they believe they see an advertisement on the TV for some cheap snack. Well, we thought we eliminated malnutrition almost a few years ago. Now with electricity, when baby starts crying, baby can't say, hello, I am hungry, right? And so unfortunately now there are more worries, they buy cheap, nasty snacks, they're not nutritious. But, you know, there is a cycle of poverty. We've studied, there are many factors. So we are now working, started just this year, with Udiana University in Denmark, the public health department, and nutritionists, and to make it a 5-year program to eliminate malnutrition. Now, it's not just giving them food, or just giving them any kind of tablet or medicine. It's finding out what's the key causes. Now, we did a big study in 2016 with Karina, and another, Karina's an expert in nutrition public health, and we have another volunteer from Holland. And there's so many social economic factors. So, the problem is many of these families are quite big. Their economy is very poor. So the priority of mouths to feed, of course, I suppose from the fathers and the elder siblings, is make sure they're happy. baby gets left out. So rather than leaving the mother focusing to find nutrition for the baby without having much of a voice herself, we're doing what's called creating a family model. So we're studying this year is very important, interviewing over 250 mothers to find from the pregnant mothers, those with babies under 2 years old, and also we're interviewing some teenage girls, find out what the diet is, the nutrition standards, this kind of thing. Now that data will be entered into a very detailed computer program by the experts at the university. Our team is interviewing in the field, and that based on the results of the assessment this year is how we shall then approach from next year with focus groups to see how the nutrition is divided in the family and to educate. So then you're going to have father, grandmother, elder siblings, a part of that family model that makes sure the nutrition is available for the young kids, because the priority is the first 1,000 days. That's from when the mother becomes pregnant, right? Until the child is 2 years old. That's 1,000 days. So if you have a malnourished child at the end of that 2-year period, it's very difficult to eliminate malnutrition, and you're going to have a high case of stunting, the short height, stunted growth. So this is a massive focus now. We are hoping this can be a model that it will work. I believe that it will work. And it can be a model not only for Indonesia but for the world of how to tackle the malnutrition problem, which is one of the World Sustainable Development Goals. Okay? That's the most important thing happening right now. Second most important thing is the ensuring that we have the funding to give secondary education. Primary education is available. The government doesn't have enough facilities for secondary education. Now, this is what people, again, it's difficult, but we have consistent donors for 4 of our schools. But the other 2, as I think you were made aware of 2 years ago, Jetty 2 and Pengalusan, that what you'd raised in your Wave Project travels supported. So here's the location of the Wave. You're definitely going today, so you'll be coming into the village from that side there. All right. And then our Pengalusan school is here.
Oh, okay.
Right, so they were the most remote to start with. Now the most accessible, but they are still in great need of education because they're the furthest away from any government school.
Oh, okay.
The only government junior high school is down here, which is 15 kilometers away. A senior high school is about 30 kilometers away.
Okay, that's through the mountain, huh?
That's right, yeah. So the other one is our Jetty 2 school, which is here. Again, there's no donor, so we're raising funds for that through crowdfunding.
Okay.
All right. And we have details on the budget on the crowdfunding page and how many kids there are, with many photographs going on our Facebook page. We have regular email blasts going out, also out on our Instagram. So good information is there.
Okay, this is good. And the donations from our people that you get monthly now, where are they going to? Also, these 2. Okay.
Yeah, for these 2 schools. That's exactly. Yes.
Okay.
So this is your friends there. The more they can understand about this, especially in your visit today. I'm hoping they're going to say, wow, we can be a part of the future development and success of these communities.
Okay, I just show it in the camera. So, wir unterstützen, das sind die Dörfer, die quasi David entdeckt hat und wo er die Wege auch hingebaut hat, wie er gerade erzählt hatte. Und die beiden Schulen, die wir unterstützen, sind hier unten rechts die Schule und hier oben links Yahituhu School. Die beiden unterstützen wir. Und heute fahren wir auch hier hin und gucken uns an, wo eure Gelder hingeflossen sind. Okay, so we got 2 other questions. One of the question is there a need of material things in the schools for writing, for painting, for other stuff?
There's always a need of those. I mean, now, very recently, we get some small support from the government, never was before. That's primarily for materials in the school, computers, this kind of thing. But it's not yet for buying writing materials So writing books always is an event, especially the art materials, and for our music, because primarily, in the beginning, nobody in history here had heard any kind of music in their life. Right? So now we have these amazing music groups. In fact, our music group has now created various songs, and they've got a band called Volcano Band. And we're big focus we have now in education. We have an extracurricular program sponsored by a big American foundation called the Emerging Markets Foundation, or Empower. And they contacted us, so since 2015, it's about empowering disadvantaged youth. Now, a big thing in the world now is about gender equality, right, and female harassment. And we know a lot about this. We're here in the entertainment business. And you're never aware it's really happening here. Well, now our kids, between our amazing team that's created curriculums, and we have this American lady who lives in Bali for many years, lived with us for 11 years now, and our local team. So our kids now, they are becoming a model for gender equality, for female empowerment. And so we're working with other schools, even the local government. So this is a very important project. So moving that forward. And it's about empowering the local youth to have a voice and to know the girls are equal with the boys, and vice versa. Whatever the boys can do, the girls should be able to do it, and vice versa, right? Some seem to be the domain of a girl. No, it's a boy as well, right? So those are the key important things, and of course, but the essential thing that is still going to be ongoing for a while is sanitation of toilets. Now, in the beginning, when we started, nobody had heard of a toilet, never mind seen one, right? And they were not defecating into rivers because there weren't any, so they were defecating out in the open. Right? And so every time at the end of my first year, the strong winds, and I'd be washing my hair, and I thought it was opening dust. No, it was dry feces. This is reality. Okay? So now there are still 800 more toilet blocks required. Now bear in mind, in this whole village, there are a total of 3,600 families. 3,600. But in the 19 communities. Okay? So now we have provided toilets for more than 1,100 families, and some lower down than more accessible have put their own toilets in. So the most essential now is the people living in these areas here, which is also an area where we have the highest rate of malnutrition. So there's a connection between sanitation, diarrhea, malnutrition. So that's the other very important thing. Now, one toilet block, it's with a septic tank. There's a bathroom involved. And they have to get water. No, not running water. But that then, it completely changes the whole life. They can bathe daily safely. They can bathe the babies can defecate, toilet, everything in a safe, hygienic place. So it's only about $230 equivalent for one complete toilet block, and that's going to last 20 or 30 years. Right? So the benefit of that, the cost, you can see over that 20-year period per day is a few cents per day, per person. Right? But it's just having that help. So those are three important things. Now the bamboo bank social enterprise, this, because the location of our village here, the sad thing now, there are roads here. So when most youth graduate, they know they have to earn money. And so there's no jobs available in our region. So they're going down to the city, and there's a lot of exploitation down there. And they're competing with people from other areas with many, many degrees maybe. Right? So the competition, they cannot compete. So they're never really going to improve their economy. They can survive, yes. And they work hard. They're dedicated. But so the whole idea is promote our bamboo products, our bamboo bikes. Now we are producing bamboo wheelchairs for disabled. It's a fairly secret, you might say, project at the moment until it's officially launched. But complete bamboo wheelchairs with bamboo frame, seat, everything. I do believe they're unique in the world. And many other bamboo products, So this, if we can get more promotion out about this, And I know German people like being fit. Like a lot
That's
of
true,
exercise.
yeah.
And you like things, you got a lot of mountains there as well. Yeah.
That's true, yeah.
So I mean, these are three important. We need funding so we can promote ourselves. We need the funds to be able to employ somebody who can help us to market the bamboo bikes and other products. It's a vicious circle.
Mm.
We can make them, but we don't have the money to promote them.
Yeah.
We don't have the money to open a shop. Right?
This is
so
also,
it's a seed funding, as you call it, to get started.
Yeah.
It's to speculate to accumulate.
This is also a important thing. Your slogan is help. What was it?
Help people help themselves.
Yeah, help
Yes.
people help themselves.
That's right. So we want to be able to train more youth so they can set their own businesses out.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
This is perfect.
Yeah.
I like the slogan.
Yes. Yes.
So I got one last question. I know a few schools in Germany, and I got the question if it's possible to do a kind of partner program with schools.
Yes.
So that's a school in Germany support your school over here.
That's a big yes.
Yeah. That's
a
nice
very
to
big.
hear.
That's a very big yes. It's something I've always wanted. We've had a lot of relations with a lot of schools since the very beginning.
Yeah.
And we have an Australian school called the Mount Barker Community College from around near Adelaide in South Australia.
Okay. Yeah.
And they've been now a group. There's a very amazing geography teacher, Callum, and he brings a group of high school kids between 9 and 10 every year, right? And they come. They make a donation, but they also create some amazing projects to do with our kids and learn a lot from our kids.
Yeah.
But I mean, obviously, ideally, is a continued relationship maybe with the same group. This is what I wanted from the beginning. We started having this with a Dutch school many years, but of course, the language was a barrier.
Sure.
Because we didn't have any real way to be really have enough resources to teach English. Our school day is quite short. But now, of course, I think it would be good to have a partner thing going, maybe with these two schools here. They can be helping to raise funds. I know a lot of school kids now do amazing things.
Yeah,
Now they're on social media, they can create campaigns, all kinds of
Right, yeah.
things. We have 4 Swedish schools. They've been raising funds now since July last year.
Okay. Cool.
Right? And they're maybe 17 years old now.
Oh.
As part of their baccalaureate project
Yeah.
at their
nice.
school.
Yeah.
And they then are going to be coming out here in end of June, beginning of July. No, sorry, end of July. They're going to volunteer with a teacher, all right? It's part of their requirement of their baccalaureate project.
That's nice.
So I think they'll have ended up raising probably in the region of about $6,000, $7,000, $8,000 by the time, which is good.
Pretty good, yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, that's another way. That's another way. It was just out of the blue. They contacted me a year ago.
It's
April
pretty
last
nice.
year.
I think it's with me. So it's pretty nice. So I know that could be very interesting to support the schools over here.
I like the idea of high school kids.
Yeah.
Our kids, then set an age about 13, 14,
Yeah.
when they're all seeing their future, and they can be communicating about that
Yeah.
and
This would be
sharing.
perfect. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. It would be around this age. It would be high school. Yeah.
Yeah.
2 high schools. Never mind.
Yeah.
So.
That's I would love that.
Okay.
Would be
I think it would be.
fantastic.
So thank you, David. That's it. Thank you for your time.
My pleasure.